Welcome, everybody. Today is November 6, 2017. This is Mike Ryan from Fastball USA, and welcome to our next podcast event, which is we're excited to have you with us today, and we're looking forward to some upcoming things coming up here at Fastball USA. Number one, we invite back this weekend is Ron Wolforth, the Texas Baseball Ranch. Will be back November 10th, 11th, and 12th. The event is completely sold out, as it usually does. So we're excited to have the entire ranch staff as well as Coach Wolforth back again this weekend. And coming up in the end of December, December 28th and 29th, our next explosive hitting boot camp. And we do have a few spots still available for that camp. And it could save up to $200 if you register before December 1st. So welcome to this podcast event. And this one is very specifically about the merry-go-round of youth baseball and youth travel baseball. And as many of you know, it looks nice and shiny when you start, and it looks like a lot of fun, but when you get on, it's very hard to get off that cycle. So again, welcome back to the Fastball USA podcast today on November 6, 2017. So what I put together here for everybody today is, I've been doing this since 1997, so it's been 20 years now of providing instruction, working with youth players, high school players, college players, and even pro players. And at every level, there seems to be what I would call fear and frustration at every level, but it really starts at the youth level in youth travel sports. So over the years, I've had parents get a hold of me and they'll say, I have this concern, or here is my story. And most of the time, those stories are all stories I've heard before. So what I did for this podcast event is I put together a list of common fears and frustrations. And I call it the merry-go-round of youth travel baseball. And really, so there are a lot of people out here, they think they're, kind of on their own in terms of this is something that's happening to you or something that you're thinking. But really, this is really common in terms of youth travel baseball. So let's start with this anyway. Let's start with fear. Here's common fears that I hear from youth travel baseball parents. Number one is simply keeping up with the Jones. What are the Joneses doing, right? So the kid down the block is playing travel baseball. Maybe I should be playing travel baseball. Also, whether some people admit it or not, there's some people that simply do it because it's a status thing. My kid is a travel baseball player. That puts me in a different status in the neighborhood or whatever it is. And that fear of not being in that status gets them to join that merry-go-round. Opportunity. People are looking, they think that their kid may miss out on opportunities that other kids are having if they don't join the local travel baseball team. They also fear others will get better. If I don't play travel baseball, they're going to get better. My kid will not. And then it really may affect what I want to have happen for him, which we're going to talk about in a second. Others, like I said, we talked about status already, but also playing with the wrong team. They're concerned about playing with the wrong team. Maybe they don't win enough, or maybe the wrong team doesn't get them good enough. So there's a lot of fear there. But this all starts off with a common conversation I will have is a parent will call me up, or they'll come in, and they'll say, hey, Coach, look, I'm not one of those crazy parents. That's how it always starts. I'm not one of those crazy parents. And let's admit, we're all crazy, right? But I'm not one of those crazy parents who thinks their kid's going to play Major League Baseball. I just want to give my kid the opportunity to at very least play high school baseball, to get that opportunity to make the team and be on a high school team, or maybe even, make an impact in high school baseball. So that starts with the goal. So a lot of parents that come in when they bring kids in at the youth, they talk about trying to be realistic, and realistic to them is making the high school team or getting their kid in the best position to play or be on a high school baseball team. So when the fear starts to come in, or where they're worried about, are they going to be good enough? Are they going to get the opportunities? Will he be good enough for his high school team? And then the other things kind of creep in, like status, like we talked about before, keeping up with the Joneses, that kind of thing. But then they join the travel baseball team, or they make the travel baseball team, which, let's face it, nowadays, if you don't make the travel baseball team, no big deal, because you can go down the block and there's another 3 more right down the block. It's definitely oversaturated. They've kind of robbed the house leagues of their talent, and now you got A level, B level, C level, D level travel teams. So that's not the problem. But once they get on the merry-go-round, then they see a frustration. So the merry-go-round looks all shiny, looks like a fun ride to get on. They hop on, and then the frustrations come in. So here's the common frustrations I typically will see. Number one, a ton of baseball games. We play way too many baseball games. This is a lot more than I thought I was getting into. The environment with the coach. The coach is kind of psychotic. It's really a questionable environment for my kids. That coach may lack knowledge, doesn't have much knowledge. When they find out that this is just an extension of a house league in the travel league, it's just another dad running it. Really, there's not a lot of fundamental work, but there is a lot of games. Then there's politics. I didn't realize that there was going to be politics involved in this. And then they start to realize, wow, I've got to deal with the politics end even of travel baseball. The dad's kid's going to play short and lead off, that kind of thing. Then getting labeled. My kid has already been labeled as he is just a catcher or just whatever, an outfielder, and whatever it is, and he's not getting opportunities to play multiple positions. And then there's winning or not winning. So winning, it becomes so much about winning that the atmosphere is crazy. It's getting psycho intense, and coaches are getting thrown out of games. Parents are going crazy yelling at umpires. And then the flip side of that is my kid's on a travel team that's not winning, and he's not winning so much that I begin to worry about him getting down and not having fun. So then winning becomes important, and then sometimes it's too much, and then sometimes losing is too much. Money. This stuff is costing me a ton of money. I didn't realize travel baseball is going to be this expensive. When you start adding it up, the travel, the cost, everything, it's really adding money. Then you have, again, the travel, time. Barely have family time anymore. We can't sit down and have dinner. The time this is taking away from us. We barely have time to do other stuff. We start to miss family events. My kid is a common one, is overused. He's pitching too much, or he pitched and he caught, or I think we may be playing too many games in too short amount of time. The schedule is crazy. This is a good one. Typically a schedule in June. Look at this. We've got 30 days in the month. There's only 2 days where we don't have anything going on in terms of games. This is crazy. And then when you do have a game, right, that is canceled because it's rained out, people are not going to practice. They're celebrating when it gets there. Then you may have multiple kids. I've got multiple kids. I got one kid playing travel baseball, another kid into music, and we got 3 kids going all over the place, maybe softball. And now my wife and I are not even going to the games to watch our kids because we're in multiple areas. And then you have pure development. I thought my kid playing travel baseball at age 8, age 9, age 10, age 11, he would just naturally get better. But now I'm noticing not only is he not getting better, but he might be getting worse. And now he's getting down on himself. His confidence is down. The positions he plays, wow, I mean, he's getting really frustrated. He always plays the same position. He's not getting opportunities to play in other spots. Not enough practice. It's typical, especially Chicago, Midwest. When the season starts, that's it. Most teams will report they have 5 or less practices once the season starts. People are fighting for practice time or field time. It's common, they'll play 50, 60, 70, 80 games and never practice again, or practice very few throughout the season. Matter of fact, typical Chicago or Midwest is they'll go inside January, February, March, and they'll train indoors, and it seems like a development process, and then they'll go play 50, 60, 70 games and very rarely practice again. It just doesn't make sense. Then the frustration is, we have these dad coaches that really are they're well-meaning coaches, but they're really not developing my kid. They're really nice guys, but they really don't develop my son in terms of fundamentals of the game. Then it may be we signed up for this academy. The academy seems to be all about money. The coach in there is very inexperienced, and there seems to be no direction, no system, and that's frustration. And then the really typical one that I see is that travel ball is just an extension of the house league. They're actually surprised when they get to travel youth baseball and they find out that all it is they got shinier uniforms, they play more games, there's more trophies, but yet it's the same thing. It's extension of the house league, same type of issues. So, and then speaking of house league, the merry-go-round is there too, because of the frustrations, I should say, because the frustrations there and the panic there is, if I play in the house league, there's not enough competition. If I play in the house league, the other kids aren't serious enough. The coaches might lack knowledge. The frustration would be they're not challenging my kid. The frustration is that coach, even though the competition is not as great, he's still too harsh on my kid. The parent doesn't have coaching experience. It's all about winning, or it's nothing about winning. The politics involved in the house leagues and making all-star teams and a lack of development all pile up. So I'm just going to say this, just to kind of move on with this. Keep in mind, Yogi Berra, the great Yogi Berra, didn't play organized baseball until he was 17 years old. The Kansas City Star center fielder Lorenzo Cain showed up to high school tryouts his freshman year in a pair of jeans, a polo shirt, never played organized baseball before he got to high school, didn't even know how to hold a bat. So to put this in perspective, let's go over a couple things. Number one, the bottom line is this. If your kid is a youth baseball player and you want him to play high school, most importantly, he has to be good. Keep your focus on his development and improvement. Practice wins overall. It trumps everything. The games are simply a test of his ability. So it doesn't make sense to take 26 tests in the month of June and have very little practice time. I absolutely agree with that. So keep in mind that what you got to do is you got to make sure he's constantly improving. Focusing on the practice and his development wins overall. Focus on his ability to be strong and athletic. Okay, don't confuse just because he plays sports that he's athletic. Your focus should be on getting him stronger and more athletic. And the more athletic he is as he gets to the bigger fields, the strength and the athleticism will show. It will not be a problem when he gets to these bigger fields. So these are the things that really parents need to focus on, but they're sold on, if you don't get on the merry-go-round of travel baseball, and if you don't play 60, 70, 80 games a year, your kid's just not going to be prepared to go play at the next level. And who knows what that next level is. It could be 8U to 10U and 10U to 12U, 10U to 12U to 14U. I can promise you this, for those out there, make sure this. Focus on your kid's improvement, whether he does well or doesn't do well. Okay, regardless of the result that day, make sure you practice after the game or the next day. Don't get caught up with the winning and the losing and the keeping up with the Joneses. Stay focused on the prize. Work hard, yes, that's very important. Your practice should far outweigh the games that you're playing. They're far more important, even in many cases, the competition that you're playing. Focus on the prize. Don't get distracted. Don't get caught up in the drama. Simply focus on getting better. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to send me an email, fastballusa@hotmail.com. Also go to our websites, fastballusa.com and explosivehitting.com. We'll be back at you again next week with another podcast event. And again, seriously, if you need to, send us an email and we'll answer any questions that you may have regarding this. Now, a reminder, the Ron Woolforth pitching camp is this weekend, November 10th, 11th, and 12th, but he will be coming back in January. So as soon as that's announced, we will let you know. And again, the next explosive hitting camp is December 28th and 29th. If you're hearing this podcast and you're local and you want to come into Fastball USA in Schaumburg, Illinois, let us know, because you'll have a chance to come in and start with an evaluation session. I appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to helping you again in the near future.